Hello, FH1 family. Thank you so much for tuning in. As you know, there's a big fight this weekend, and I got my brother Stellar Cuz Jay with us to give us his unbiased perspective on the Canelo versus Charlo fight this weekend. Some of y'all may know Charlo is 35-1-1. He's no trump to the game. He's a good boxer. He understands boxing, but he's facing an opponent that he hasn't seen before. Stellar Cuz Jay is going to give us his keys to victory, his weaknesses from each opponent, and the X factor. Thank you so much for tuning in, my brother.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you being here.
Appreciate it.
So, what are your keys to the victory? And I want to start off with Charlo, right? Because I feel he had to go through a transition in his body, gaining weight to meet Canelo at his class. Since he put in, the legwork, I want to know your opinion on that.
I mean, listen, I think Jamal's going to he's going to put up a tough fight. He's going to definitely go in there game, trying to do what he can do to get himself a victory. He's got youth on his side. He's got athleticism, and there's definitely some attributes that he possesses that can give Canelo an interesting fight, I would say, right? What can be maybe possibly a key to Charlo having success and possibly beating Canelo? I would say he would really have to disrupt Canelo's rhythm. He would have to have an extreme effective jab through the fight. A jab that's just penetrating through Canelo and being able to disrupt Canelo's rhythm and doesn't let Canelo establish himself in any type of way. And he's got to land big punches behind that jab.
Yeah.
Work his way to the body and just make Canelo very uncomfortable. Smother him at times, make it a rough and rugged fight, and frustrate Canelo as much as possible. I can see maybe Charlo doing possibly something like that where he can maybe get himself a win. But realistically speaking, that's going to be tough.
I mean, Charlo has 19 knockouts in his career.
Yeah, but it's going to be tough. Again, I'm just giving you a scenario that could possibly happen if again, you asked me if the key, the X factors and what can be the key to victory for a guy like Jamal Charlo. If he was to pull a victory off on Canelo, that would be it. That's what I would say. It would have to be exactly that. Disrupting Canelo's rhythm, applying a jab, an effective jab, a double jab, landing solid punches behind that, moving, being out of the way, smothering him at times, making him uncomfortable, frustrating him, landing little shots here and there inside. And maybe, just maybe, again, I'm giving you a scenario that maybe Charlo can do such a thing and apply a performance like that where he can edge out a win, but realistically speaking, it's going to be tough.
Okay.
So I wouldn't put my money on it.
Okay. Well, what are some weaknesses? What are some weaknesses that Charlo has that you think Canelo would exploit?
I think there's often at times where he throws these punches and he leaves his chin straight up in the air. And for a guy like Canelo, that's going to just, he's going to have a field day landing punches on that. And if he doesn't, how many punches could Jamal sustain through a period of time throughout the fight? So I would say for Jamal to keep his chin tucked in extremely tight. Yeah. Extremely tight. Do what you can to punch in between Canelo's punches. 1-2-1 combinations, effectively moving, stepping away from his power hand, and again, just trying to apply an effective jab and frustrating him at times. He can maybe, again, I'm just giving you a scenario of a strategy that can possibly be applied where he can maybe pull the victory off. In such a way, So,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, what would you call him his X factor? His X factor. Because everyone has one that
I mean, listen,
can challenge an opponent. I mean,
listen.
He put in the work. He put in the work to meet
right? This is
Canelo.
boxing. I can't sit there and say that he's not a game opponent. No. I can't. Canelo's a phenomenal fighter. Eventually will be a legendary fighter in the Hall of Fame of boxing. 100. There's no doubt in Canelo's resume and his ability to box, right? Jamal has also a game chance. He's athletic. He can do things inside of there. He can maybe land a good punch here and there. But again, time and time again, Canelo's proven that he's got a chin that's made out of iron. He can withstand some big punches, heavy blows.
Okay.
So
now, what kind of punches specifically are we talking about that you think, would be his X factor? Charlo. What would be his X factor punch? Because
he's got, Jamel's got a pretty good uppercut actually. He's got a pretty surprising good uppercut.
Okay.
He also throws a little tight hook inside. It could be an X factor punch for him again. Hey, listen, it's boxing. If he can land something flush and hit Canelo off guard, hey, listen, again, it's boxing, anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
But,
okay. All right. So that was Charlo's perspective. Now we're gonna move on.
I wouldn't put my money on it. I'm not giving anybody gambling advice, but I wouldn't put my money on
Okay.
it.
The champion, Canelo Alvarez. What are his keys to victory?
I mean, Canelo is for me to sit here and put Canelo's keys to victory. I mean, I think Canelo knows what the keys to victory are. At this point in his career, obviously it's just applying extreme amount of pressure. Also smothering Jamel, effectively landing to the body. And what that's going to do eventually, it's just going to open up the top. It's a traditional Mexican boxing style, and Canelo has that. He has that ability. He has high IQ, so he's going to go in there. He's obviously going to, work his feints, go into the body at first. Mm-hmm. When he starts to make his deposits to the body, it's the inevitable that he's going to break Jamel down and eventually, go for the top, go for the chin, and get him out of there at some point. I would say that if Jamel can't do enough to keep Canelo off of him, he'll stop him. Canelo will walk him down and he'll stop him. So.
What rounds will he stop him at?
I would say anywhere between 8 and 11 rounds. I would say that is where Canelo will start to turn up pressure. It goes into the veteran rounds. It's where he'll go into closing out the fight and just.
So if I want to put my money on a round, I'm going to choose something between 8 and 11. What you're saying, but that's what the fight will end.
Yeah, I'm not giving anybody gambling advice by this opinion.
Okay.
Just my opinion and what I personally think. If I was to put my money on it, I would say round 10.
Oh, nice.
I would say round 10.
Okay. The closing rounds.
Yeah, the closing rounds.
All right, cool.
I would say it'd be 10. By that time, he should have already Jamel broken down.
Okay.
Jamel should already feel sluggish at that point, heavy on his feet for putting weight on, and it depends really on what Canelo does early to have him at that point perfectly worn down at that period of the fight by 9-10 rounds and be able to close it out at that point, because that's really what a veteran fighter does. A veteran fighter is some of them guys are going to sit back sometimes in the first couple rounds and let you go into your energy tank, right? Yeah. You got to factor in too that every time Jamel throws and Canelo makes him miss, that's a lot of energy leaving the body. That's a lot of force leaving the body. And that takes its toll on the fighter, especially a fighter that's going up 2 weight divisions and, is going to be a little bit more sluggish. He's not going to be light on his feet like he typically is at 54. In fairness, he might have a little bit more power. He might be able to carry a little more power at 68.
Yeah, and you said he has a pretty decent uppercut.
He's got a decent uppercut again that can do something. But again, if those things can't do anything to keep Canelo backed up and off of him, it ain't gonna happen.
Okay. So what are Canelo's weaknesses? How good is that chin under here?
How really can I say what are Canelo's weaknesses? I mean, I think if there's something that can work against Canelo, would be that sometimes he tries to be a little bit too defensive,
Okay.
and he compromises his offensive output.
Okay.
And what can happen in a case like that is like the Bivol fight that he had, right? When he lost to Bivol outputted him in the fight. He just kept active and kept throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing. And Canelo would land back, but it wasn't enough. It's 5, 6, 7 punches coming out, and then one. 5, 6 come out, 1, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 come, and the activity of Bivol and the pressure that Bivol was able to apply, but at the same time work his distance and his range, created a lot of problems for Canelo.
Yeah.
And in that point, in that fact, that can be somewhere where Canelo might have a little bit of a wrinkle in his defense, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning it works against him. He's being too defensive, so he compromises his offensive output, and that works against him. Yeah. So again, Jamel would have to swarm him with punches. And listen, I'm going to say this right now. I don't want to not do this interview without making this statement. Don't doubt the fact that Jamel's going to go out there in the beginning and go for his neck. Like he's going to go for his head. Yeah. But people pay the cost of that. Fighters pay the cost of that, right? You go out for his head, and if you don't get him out of there, you can't knock Canelo out or do anything of that sort or even hurt him, it's over for him. It might be over even earlier than 10. But again, what I think that if Canelo has a wrinkle in his defense or any type of weakness, that would be the one that I'd say right there. He compromises his offense a little bit by being a little too defensive minded. So, but I don't see him doing that in this fight. This is a different type of fight. Okay. Right. He's got a guy in front of him that will stand in the pocket a little bit more and exchange with him. Bivol fights very lengthy. Very lengthy. He knows how to punch, moving backwards, forward, and sideways, and it's just different.
Okay. His X factor. What's his X factor?
Canelo?
Yep.
Oh man, man. Canelo throws a wicked body shot, bro. Canelo has a very strong body shot that he can hit people with. And I would say his left hook. Definitely his left hook. Yeah. Those are the two punches that he could really hurt you with. It'd be probably a double up punch with a left to the body and one to the top. But that's really where Canelo, if he gets those off on Jamel, it's gonna be tough, bro. It's gonna be tough for him to sustain that type of punishment, because he's got, from what I hear, Canelo packs a punch. Yeah. He's got some heavy hands. So that's really what I see.
All right. So at the end, based on your analysis, are we saying that Canelo should take this fight?
Yeah. If I was to personally, again, this isn't betting advice, right?
Yeah,
but if I was to put my money on it, obviously I'm going to go with Canelo Alvarez. Why do I choose Canelo as the winner of this fight? Is because of his experience, man. There's nothing that Jamel really is going to bring in here that Canelo hasn't seen. Canelo's been in there with so many different talented fighters, so many different boxers, so many different philosophies and styles of boxing that he's done seen already. That it won't be nothing that anybody's ever done different. It's going to take a A+ performance from Charlo to win this fight. Okay. Charlo can't have a mediocre fight. He can't have a B performance. He can't have a C performance. That won't be enough. Yeah. It's got to be a perfect fight. Yeah. And that's the problem. When you're fighting a guy of this magnitude, a champion like Canelo Alvarez, you have to have your best performance. There can't be a mediocre performance. So again, I got Canelo Alvarez winning. If I had to choose a round, it would be round 10. But really, I don't like choosing a round. I would more or less say anywhere between 8 and 11 rounds, Canelo should be able to stop.
Okay. All right. Well, FH1 family, again, thank you so much for tuning in. There you have it. Stellar Cuz Jay has given us his unbiased perspective. Enjoy the fight.